It's that time of the year again where we get to discuss the Champions League final, and I am excited for this final. I know a lot of people are easily writing this one off for Real Madrid winning, but I want to give you my opinion of why it's important for us to respect Dortmund and understand what they've done this season. Even though they didn't have the best Bundesliga season, we got to really respect what they did in the Champions League, because their road to the Champions League final, although the knockout stages, they didn't play the best teams in the world. They did play some great teams. Their group stage was a remarkable group stage, and in the group of death, in my opinion. So let's talk about it. First of all, what's up, everybody? I'm your boy Skills, and today we are going to be discussing this Champions League final where I truly believe, obviously, if I was a betting man, I'm not a betting man, I truly believe Real Madrid are favorites going into this. But with that being said, we have to discuss something that's very, very important. And what we have to discuss, lads, is something massively important, and it is this: PSG, AC Milan, and Newcastle. Now, there's a few things that we must discuss with that. A lot of people know that Newcastle this year was not the same Newcastle from the previous year. Same goes with AC Milan, and this PSG, I would say, is also not the same as last year, because I think this year they were actually better. Even though they didn't have Neymar and Mbappe, or Neymar and Messi, I think they all around were a better team and a more, I would say more of a balanced team and not a team full of stars. So with that being said, still to come out of this group of death with 1 loss and 2 draws with 3 wins is very impressive for Dortmund. And now, again, it's not the same Newcastle that it was from the year before. The same AC Milan wasn't the craziest. But at the end of the day, this is a massive accomplishment for Dortmund. So they did not have an easy task to make the Champions League final. After that, they had to knock out a team that put up 14 points, winning 4 games and losing 2. And that team goes by the name of Atletico Madrid. We just know that when it comes to knockout games, Atletico Madrid is very difficult to get out. We know that. Under Simeone, they've been one of the hardest teams to break down defensively in the Champions League. That's why they usually go pretty far in the Champions League. So if you've been watching ball over the last 10 years, you know how hard it is to get by Atletico Madrid. And Dortmund was able to do that. And then they were able to get by PSG again in the semifinals, to make the final. And again, a very, very, very good PSG this year, right? A strong PSG. So let's not get that twisted for 1 second. But why would we say Real Madrid are the favorites? Well, the first thing we need to say is the way they won La Liga, okay? They were one of the most impressive teams in all of Europe. And if I'm being brutally honest with everybody, I think they're the best team in Europe. And I've been saying this for a while, but I just think they're the best team in Europe because of the way they've been able to adapt to Ancelotti's system without a 9, and the way they've been able to get Rodrigo and Vinny playing so well around Jude Bellingham. I just think they're a very, very strong team, and they've dealt with a crazy amount of injuries and still got through it. That is what a championship team looks like, okay? So they destroy La Liga, and when you look at the Champions League, brother, to get to this Champions League final, this is one of the hardest runs I've ever seen in my life, right? And you're probably like, well, why do you say that? Well, they had to get through Bayern, who everybody knows are the German monsters. They had to get by Man City, the English monsters. Just that in itself is crazy. Now, because they get through teams like that, you probably stare at it and you go, all right, well, the final is pretty easy for them. If they could beat Bayern, then they can beat and they could beat City, they could beat Dortmund easy. But it's not like that, because you got a team that is playing for a huge accomplishment for their club. But not only that, you have a team that is playing for more than just that. They're playing for Reus. And I know a lot of y'all might be like, well, that doesn't really matter. It does. You know, this team, Reus has stayed so loyal to Dortmund. He has a chance to leave in a farewell, beautiful way, be able to say bye to the fans and win a Champions League and leave. Like, it's crazy, right? So you got that scenario. But then on the other hand, you got Toni Kroos. And you got this team with Luka Modric and players that have been with Toni Kroos for years. And you got this team that wants to send him into retirement the right way. So you got these two scenarios that are just amazing in football. You got Dortmund sending potentially Reus away with the Champions League as he leaves and he walks away from the club he's been at for so many years. And then on the other hand, you have another German machine that is walking away from not a club, but football, retiring. That's it. Never coming back. Retiring from football at the age, I think, of 34. I think Toni Kroos is. I could be wrong. He's still pretty young. But you got this Toni Kroos walking away from football, and you got these players that want to send him the right way because of all the amazing things he's done for Real Madrid, man. So it's these scenarios, dude. It's these talking points. The whole Champions League, I feel like, have been these talking points. When it was Bayern versus Real Madrid, you had, can Toni Kroos can Harry Kane finally get a trophy? And bro, you had all these like side stories, and it's just been that the whole time. And I just find it really beautiful, man. Football's amazing. But yeah, man. So you have these two players that are retiring or walking away from our beautiful sport in this final. But when I really, really sit down and break it down for you guys, I do think Real Madrid's going to win it. I think they need to go into it and respect Dortmund massively. I think it's going to be a very, very close game, but I think Real Madrid are going to see it through, because this is a huge opportunity for a young team to make a name for itself, right? And not only that, a young team to say, hey, yo, Mbappe, I know you're potentially coming here, but this is what we've done. And this is, you gotta come in and fit in with us, because me and Vinny, when I say me, I mean Vinny, Jude Bellingham, and Rodrigo, we've been doing this. Chouamani and stuff, we've been doing this. This is, so it's kind of like a statement game. I know they don't care about all that. That's not a big deal. But when you're Mbappe and you're walking into the locker room and you go, wow, man, like I'm walking into a crazy awesome team already. And that's a big thing. So in my opinion, this Real Madrid team is playing for a lot, man. They're playing for a lot. They're holding that badge high. They have represented that shirt massively. And then you have Dortmund, man, who has just been I want to say a Cinderella story, but they're always a European powerhouse. But it has been a Cinderella story for them, man. And no one thought they would be in this Champions League final. No one thought that they would get this far, and they are this far. And I don't know, the story might not end here. I remember 2016 when I watched Portugal. No one thought they would win the Euro, and they just kept going and getting through teams, and they played sometimes very, very defensive when needed, and they still got through it. And that's the thing, man. The only problem with that scenario with Dortmund is this: they are now coming up against a team that defends really well and attacks really well. So if Dortmund wants to put pressure on Real Madrid will allow it, and they'll counter them. If Dortmund wants to give Real Madrid the ball and allow them to have possession, Real Madrid will play that style. That's the very, very hard thing about playing against this Real Madrid team, is that they can play every style. They can play the counter game. They could play the park the bus game. They could play the possession game. It is a team that could just play any different style. And I think that's very, very rare to find in football. Usually their strong suit is something like, when you look at City, they're a possession team. They possess the ball really well. They attack really well, but you wouldn't say their defense is their strong suit. With this Madrid team, they have so much that they can do well. So for that reason, I'm going to go Real Madrid. It's no disrespect to Dortmund. I just think that, the way they've defended against City, the way they attack when they need to, the way they can counter, it's just very hard to beat that. With that being said, we got to talk about something that's very important. What do you do in goal if you're Ancelotti? Obviously, Courtois fit. Do you throw him in? Lewin, I suck with his name. He's played remarkable. And I personally think, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Homie made so many great saves against City. He's a part of why they're in the Champions League final. To bench him now just doesn't feel right. If I'm Ancelotti, I'm keeping it the same. I'm keeping the team the same. I'm going into this like this. And then depending how the Champions League final is, I then determine, or I then sit down and think, hey, do we sell Courtois now? Do we think about moving on from Courtois now? Because if you win the Champions League final with this goalie, and you got all the way through, the knockout stage and stuff with this goalie, how much do you need Courtois? And if Courtois still holds a pretty good value and he's getting up there in age, maybe it's time to move Courtois. You get yourself some money and you have yourself a great goalie. So there's so many scenarios that are going to play out going into the summer. But this Champions League final, I think, is going to be exciting. I think it's going to be a fun Champions League final. I think it's going to be an open game, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to be an easy game, but I think Real Madrid will probably see it by maybe a goal or two. But it's going to be a very, very, very close game, a very hard-fought game by City. By Real Madrid. I'm sorry. But it's going to be an awesome one, man. I can't wait for it. I think it's going to be a great game, and it's coming up, man. So let me know in the comments down below what y'all's predictions are. But remember, man, it's Toni Kroos farewell day. It's Reus's farewell. There's so many scenarios playing out, and I just cannot wait to watch it, man. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, smash that thumbs up, subscribe, turn your bell on, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Booyah. We out of here.